So good evening and welcome to the weekly Dharma Gathering. My name is Ashley Dinges. I'm one of the co-founders and hosts of the weekly Dharma Gathering. And tonight's session will be led by my friend and fellow New Yorker, Maho Kawachi. And her talk is titled One Step at a Time. Maho will start with guided meditation instruction and contemplation, and then we'll move into the talk and have some time for Q&A if there are questions. As you know, we go through this every week, but tonight's session is being recorded. So if you prefer not to be seen, you can turn off your camera. And during the Q&A, you're welcome to ask questions either on camera or you can submit them via the chat box. And to access the recording afterwards, you can go onto your purchase products page on your Vimeo account and you should be able to access the talk within 48 hours. Also, I just want to mention to our subscribers who are probably watching this later on the recording, this will be our last live talk for 2019, but we are going to be releasing new content every week during the month of December. So I will have recorded guided meditations from each of our co-founders, including myself, Dr. Shantae Smalls, Adriana DeFazio, and Alex Van Gils, and we'll be leading different types of meditations and contemplations that you can access in a new category of Vimeo. So that's very exciting. We're going to have lots of fresh content for you through the holidays because we all need to meditate during the holidays. I know I do. So hopefully you'll be watching that and practicing with us, and you'll be getting an email each time a new piece of content goes live over the next month. So please watch for that in your email. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Maho. As I mentioned, Maho lives in New York City, and she was born in Tokyo, Japan. She lived in the center of Tokyo her whole life until she moved to Columbus, Ohio as a grad student. And that was her first taste of the US. She still remembers the first day she spent in an apartment in a suburb. After she relocated to New York, she found herself longing for something she could hold on to. And at that point, she found Buddhism. Maho works for a Japanese newspaper as a staff correspondent, and she covers a wide range of topics from business to social issues. So with that, it is my pleasure to welcome Maho this evening, and I would invite you to please teach us.
Good evening, or maybe how are you, or hello, so forth and so forth. So my name is Maho. Let's start with some meditation, guided meditation. Why don't we do shamatha, mindfulness of your breath meditation. So I will guide you through 4 steps. So the first step is taking the seat, either on your cushions or chairs. You feel that your pelvis is firmly grounded. It's not overarching, it's not sloppy, but something you find the balance. The pelvis is almost like standing on the cushion or chair. And from there, you feel your spine goes up with a natural curve, but yet upright toward the ceiling. Your belly is relaxed. Open, very soft, broad chest. supported by strong back. Long neck and chin tucks in just tiny bit. Face muscle relaxed. And your eye gaze is very soft down and naturally landed, something like 4 to 6 feet away in front of you. You are not looking into anything. You just accept all this information comes to you. Step 2. Check in. Check in with your own mind. Just scan this softness of your mind and ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? And just acknowledge whatever arises. There's no wrong, right answer to it. Just a state of mind. Step 3. Mindfulness. Here we start paying attention to your breath. Inhale, exhale, the whole cycle. Use your body reference point. Let's say nostrils, your chest, your belly. Decide one point and make it this place as your reference point to experience the breath. So the cool air comes in, air goes out. You feel chest is expanding and shrinking. Find your breath in your body. Step 4, awareness. So here, as we try to settle down with our own breath, naturally a thought arises, and probably it will take your mind away from the breath. So even though that you try to stay with the breath, next moment your mind is completely away from your breath. So when you notice, you can come back without any judgment. So this awareness of mind is start wandering. This is a time to come back to the breath. So the practice is follow your breath and come back to your breath. Let's sit together for maybe 15 minutes. So thanks again for coming, joining for this talk. So how are you? How are you doing at this moment? Let's just again check in what's going on with our own mind. So holiday season is just around the corner. Around this time of the year, I always feel a bit anxious. I came to New York City in early 90s, and since then I established my career, made friends, family. So this city is already my home. But somewhere in my heart, I am still asking sometimes, where is my home? Holiday season is a wicked thing. It is something like a feeling of the school bus has left without me, and I do not know where I am, and I don't know where I am supposed to go. It's very confusing and unsureness, almost like losing the ground. I remember when I started this meditation practice, I asked a teacher, how long will it take to be a good meditator? And I hope it's not too late in my lifetime. He smiled at me and said, well, come back and ask me the same question in 10 years. Studying the Buddhism, we are introduced to this teaching of bodhicitta, awakened mind, awakened heart. And as the story or as the teaching goes, there are two types of bodhicittas. One is absolute bodhicitta, and another one is relative bodhicitta. And we probably experience or touch this two bodhicittas many times without even notice them. Well, when we are anxious and probably depressed and stressed out, so much things are going on, we tend to forget that our bodhicitta already exists within us. And especially thinking about having this absolute bodhicitta, which is supposed to be completely open-hearted, no duality, me and others, full of natural confidence, compassion, inside out. These qualities, even though we are supposed to have them all, it is too far away to feel them. As if we are looking upon a northern star or something like that. Relative bodhicitta, on the other hand, it is something you can touch. If we make a bit of an effort, almost in everyday life. When you started a meditation practice, how long were you able to sit? Was it like 3 minutes or 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes? And how many breaths could you follow without being distracted by a thought? In the beginning, it's really hard to even last for just one. This monkey mind, busy mind, doesn't want to stay with our mind, our breath, right? I remember also in my case, for a long time, I always thought meditation sitting is win or lose situation. So it's almost like if I don't follow or if I lose my mind, the setting is, that particular setting is a failure. So I always thought that you have to be consistently following the breath all the time. And if you can't do it, game over. Then one day, there was this Tibetan teacher, Tibetan nun, Robina Coating, came over and taught us. And she used the phrase during the session, one breath at a time. If you miss this breath, there is always a next breath. So do not give up. So it's not about the length of the sitting, you really have to concentrate on the breath all the time. There's a moment of losing the breath, and then you come back. You stay focused with the breath, and the thought comes, and just come back. So moment by moment by moment, one breath at a time. So it's not 0 and 1, 0 or 1. It's a continuous sort of gentle effort we make. Do not give up. So that was a gentle but very strong and powerful advice for me to keep practicing. One breath at a time. There is always a next breath. And as you know, one breath, and there is always a gap before the next breath comes. So this pause, gap between two breaths, is also a very sacred moment you recognize. Instead of rushing to the next moment, instead of next breath, why can't we just stop or pause and recognize, be aware in this gap? What is going on in our mind? How do you feel this gap? So we don't lose any moment. Each moment is so sacred. Each moment, each breath, each gap is very important. So in this every moment, you might feel, you might observe some emotions. It could be sadness. It could be anger, frustration, even numbness, blank, confusion, hatred, doubt, jealousy, and so on. So by becoming more and more mindful to your breath and each moment, we can see our problem, we can see our rooted disturbance. And you don't have to have a shame. You are not supposed to be embarrassed by it. Because it's not the weakness. It's not even the laziness. It's just a momentary state of mind. And as many Buddhist teachers says, those things are like a clouds cover the blue sky. So it's a momentary energy covers up your mind. By recognizing those state of mind, we can gently loosen up our knot of tightness. Most of the time, the mind and the body is not synchronizing. Like, let's say, if I am indulged myself to do, let's say, video game or something like that, and I know that something outside of this small world, something is going on. But by doing this small video playing, I'm kind of separating myself from the outside world. So by doing so, I'm become much more in a solitude, in a bad way. I become much more lonely. So the other day I was looking at Facebook, and even though I'm getting the information from my friends, I feel much more lonely. It's very strange thing. I just feel that my body, my mind is completely isolated from the reality. So this practice of meditation, one breath at a time, we synchronize body, mind, and the space and time in one package. Some of you have taken the course, Containment in Everyday Life. How do we keep, or how do we gain the sanity in everyday life? So the course has a symbol. The symbol is one of the animal, or mystical animal actually. It's a tiger. So this tiger is a very huge and very majestic appearance. And the tiger walks slowly, but heedfully through the jungle. Tiger is not stalking. He is very satisfied, and very, in a way, modest. And this walk and attitude is very mindful and relaxed. And he's always watching the situation with open-hearted, with a curiosity. Instead of going to me world, the tiger has this no shutting down quality, complete openness. So again, one breath at a time. And like tiger, one step at a time. We walk this path. We walk this life. And that is the relative way to get back to this sanity in everyday life and gain back our confidence. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Maho. I have a question for you. I really liked what you were saying about step by step, and I also really liked what you were saying in the very beginning about talking about the holidays and what probably because it's at the top of mind for me and so many other people right now, and it's such difficult, it can be such a difficult time. And I wonder if what you think about the idea of kind of sort of step by step and how that might apply to just working with the difficulty of how we might feel emotionally, things that come up around the holidays. And really, like, I guess my question is mostly about how it's like I know how to apply my meditation practice, but that doesn't mean that I do it. And so I just wonder if you could speak a little bit about working with strong emotions in that context in terms of family and maybe difficult situations that we have to deal with.
Thanks. Yeah, I always have a moment with my mother. So the one step at a time is really giving any situation, giving any moment a preciousness. So, for instance, if you have to deal with a difficult person, you have this pre-assumption of, oh, here comes this person and he's going to say this, and instead, can we have a little bit of pause before making any reactivity? Can you really listen to this person, what he means by, this guy would like to have your attention, or this guy would like to make you upset. Something, there must be some intention from him. But instead, making the pre-assumption, can we really listen to what he is trying to say? And one pause, instead of, I don't like that idea, or I hate this situation. Can we just step back and see what's going on within me? Oh, I'm very upset. Something, the small nano moment of this pause is very important before reacting to this situation. That's one thing. And second thing is making the healthy boundary instead of, like, let's say, I will give my example of with my mother. She would like to ask me something, and she would like to kind of break this boundary and try to grasp me, right? Let's say. So in that case, can we give a little bit of healthy space between her and me? In this case, instead of, I can't do that, don't talk me like that. Sorry. Can I say, hi, hey mom, I can do this for you. How about this? So in kind of counter position, I mean a presentation, give her something. I can do this much instead of saying no. So I don't know if it makes sense, but there's something positive flip. That's I am trying to do. Not successful every time, but so something makes me insane is I'm losing all my control and then be swayed away by that situation. Instead, why don't I just give my preposition, I can do this, or some kind of healthy boundary and pause. That's the things I would say.
Thank you.
So any additional question, if I may have, or maybe not?
Yes, it looks like we have a question in the chat box. I'm just going to read it so that
Okay, great.
those who are watching on the recording can hear the question, which is, any thoughts on helping support friends and family who may be having a hard time during the holiday season? People who may not have a meditation practice to lean on. It's a great question.
Mm. So there are many ways to approach that situation. If you are a meditator, there is a way to approach it, like I said, making this healthy pose or boundary, and even like giving a little bit of mini meditation or something like that. But probably if you are not a practitioner or anything like that, I only think of be kind to yourself and be kind to others at the same time. Because it's really hard, isn't it? You really don't want to be a doormat. But at the same time, you don't want to be like always angry person. So thinking through their point of view, at the same time, you have to have your own view. I don't know if I can make a compromise between two. But eventually, the family, friends, they love you and you love them. So this loving part is a harness. So through that point of view, you make the way, you make the approach, I think. I don't know if I can answer to that question. That's a very hard one.
I wonder too sometimes, like, this is often hard for me to do, but I try it, which is to just, like, it's so easy to let the contemplative practice like fall away, especially when things are happening and it's hard to control the situations that you're in. And sometimes, like, I just try my best to model the kind of behavior, I mean, you know, that I would want, like, you know, for example, family fights and people not listening to each other, or people not giving space to each other. It, like, I like really just try to slow down and say, well, how am I responding? Do I feel comfortable? Do I feel good about how I'm reacting to this? And also, like, sometimes people just don't notice when other people are hurt in those kind of social situations, or and maybe you notice, maybe because you have a practice, you can tell when someone is really struggling, and you just say to them, hey, that seems like it was really a hard conversation, are you doing okay? And I often find that with large family gatherings, that a lot of times people just like steamroll over each other and they don't really pay attention to how their words hurt other people, or I don't know. So that's just one other thing I try to do. It doesn't always work, but it's like a good thought, I guess, or a good way to orient yourself.
Yeah, giving a space is a great one. Without reacting it, it's almost like steam off, like kind of by being an uplifting and accommodative attitude. You know, people can feel it, your calmness. So giving a space is a good, you know, approach in this case. Probably it's hard to, you know, practice, but you can try. Any more chat box? I could not see it, but is there anything coming up or not? No? So shall we do a minute or two meditation and the closing out? Is that okay? Okay, so this one is not shamatha, but more like really open up your five senses, 360 degrees. You're above, you're below, your front, back. Just expand all this awareness. So let's sit together, taking the seat, including your breath, but more like really open up your heart and five senses.
Maho, thank you so much for teaching us and leading us this evening. It's always a pleasure. I love your voice and just your presence. So I always really enjoy listening to your talks. Thank you so much for offering this space for us tonight. For those who are watching later, this should appear in your purchase content tab of Vimeo. And then I just want to also note, again, I said this at the beginning, but in case you missed it, that we won't be having live gatherings in December, but we will be releasing a new piece of content each week of December from the four of our co-founders. So you will get email updates if you're a subscriber, and also, if you are signed up for the free 7-day trial, you can also access those recordings as well as the entire catalog of archived talks. So we hope that you enjoy those guided meditations and that they may be useful to you during the holidays as well. So just once again, thank you for joining us, and Maho, thank you so much for teaching us, and we will see you next time. Bye.